At the edge of the vast earth, some lives seem born with a perspective that looks down upon the mortal world. They possess elegant and long necks, allowing them to easily reach treetops unreachable by others, yet because of this, they bear a certain unspoken weight of life. When night fully cloaks this ancient savanna and all clamor fades into the soil, they still stand quietly in the wind, like solitary sentinels. Tonight, let us sit by the gently flickering hearth, and with this story that requires no effort to remember, step into his true life. This creature, known as the giraffe, passes each long night in the place closest to the sky, using a near-cruel wakefulness and an extremely restrained sleep. In this world, sleep is an unconditional reward for most living beings, but for him, it is a game of precise calculation, even using life as collateral. He only allows himself a few minutes of deep sleep each day, a span of time so brief it makes one's heart ache. And in those precious few minutes, he gently folds back that seemingly proud long neck, resting his head softly and properly against his own back. It is a posture that, once seen, is hard to forget. It looks both like an exhausted compromise and a deep embrace of self-comfort. The wind whimpers low on the distant horizon, while the high-altitude dreamscape belonging to the giraffe quietly unfolds beneath this silent starlight. The dark night of the savanna is never truly calm, danger always lurks within those unseen shadows. For a giraffe standing several meters tall, this height is an unparalleled advantage by day, but by night, it becomes a massive target that cannot be hidden. Even more fatal is that his 2-meter-long neck makes his every standing up and lying down incredibly slow and difficult. Once a predator is encountered while lying down, a few short seconds of sluggishness are enough to rewrite the ending of life. That is why a deep vigilance toward the earth flows in his bones, and he is born rarely choosing to truly lie down. This instinctive resistance for survival becomes the first fracture in his destiny, splitting his night into countless fragmented and awake moments. While the surrounding zebras and antelopes close their eyes and sink into dreamland, he still needs to straighten his back and maintain a standing posture. His eyes gleam with faint light in the darkness, always watching for the slightest rustle in the grass. This prolonged standing is not because he is not tired, but because for life, staying awake is the only chip for survival. During the long hours of standing, the breeze passes through his mottled coat, carrying away his body warmth, but also bringing messages of danger or peace from afar. It is precisely this destiny of being unable to sleep peacefully that has forced the giraffe to evolve a highly unique, even fantastical way of sleeping. Since he cannot lie down for long, he has learned to steal scattered, crumb-like dreams in the intervals of standing. He often chooses a tall acacia tree to lean against during the quietest moments of the deep night. Then, that long neck accustomed to being held high slowly relaxes, carving a very gentle arc. He turns his head backward, carefully resting it on his back or thigh, just like a tired child who has finally found the most comforting pillow. Sleep in this posture usually lasts only 2 to 3 minutes each time, or even shorter. In human perception, 2 minutes is but an exchange of a few breaths, but for the giraffe, this is already the greatest tolerance the night grants him. In these 2 minutes, his brain quickly falls into deep sleep, his body muscles relax for a moment, and he may even have extremely short dreams about treetops and breezes. Then, the alarm of instinct wakes him right on time, and he raises his head again, turning back into that vigilant, lonely sentry. This continually repeating night woven from countless 2-minute blocks is his unique rhythm of life, restrained yet full of poetry. Aside from an extremely brief sleep, there is another secret in the giraffe's life that is misunderstood by almost everyone, that is his near-absolute silence. On the noisy savanna, lions roar, elephants trumpet, and even seemingly gentle antelopes snort in warning. Only the giraffe remains completely noiseless, whether at the moment of encountering danger or in times of grief over losing a companion. In the past, people once thought he was a natural mute, believing nature had forgotten to endow his throat with the power of vocalization, but true science reveals a deeper truth: he has functional vocal cords. It is just that his trachea is too long and the distance between his chest and throat is too far, requiring immense airflow and physical effort to make a sound. More importantly, on this land fraught with peril, sound often exposes one's location, bringing devastating disaster. Thus, in the long river of evolution, he voluntarily surrendered the right to vocalize, pressing all emotions deep into his chest. He uses infrasound, at frequencies too low for humans to hear, to communicate gently with distant companions under the silent night sky. That sound vibrates slowly in the air, skimming over the tips of the grass, crossing distances of several kilometers, caught only by companions who are equally lonely. This silence is not inability, but a high level of restraint, his gentlest resistance against this noisy world. This squeezing of destiny brought by body structure is not only reflected in sleep and sound, but even his most basic drinking of water turns into an adventure full of a sense of ritual. Although the giraffe's neck is very long, when he stands straight, his head still cannot reach the water source on the ground. Whenever he comes to a waterhole, he must spread his two long front legs wide to the sides of his body, striking a posture that is somewhat awkward or even comical, to painstakingly lower his head to the water's surface. In this posture, his center of gravity drops to the lowest point, and his body's defenses completely collapse. If a crocodile or a lion suddenly launches an ambush at this moment, he has almost no chance of resisting. Therefore, every time he lowers his head to drink, it is a grand gamble against fate for the giraffe. He always hesitates by the water for a long time, constantly looking up and around, confirming there is not a shred of movement in the wind before slowly lowering that proud head. The water reflects his clear eyes and his pair of small horns. He sucks the sweet spring water at top speed, then quickly straightens his body, regaining the height that commands the whole situation. The price of this drinking makes him cherish every drop of nectar in life even more, and makes him always maintain a complex emotion of both longing and awe toward the earth. His life finds a subtle and fragile balance between the wind in the high sky and the water on the ground. As autumn goes and spring comes, and the drought and lushness of the savanna alternate, the giraffe also builds a highly cohesive family tension within this high degree of restraint. Although they do not have a strong sense of territory, the bond between companions appears exceptionally resilient in silence. During the day, they maintain a distance of several hundred meters, scattering near different tree canopies to feed, using their height to act as distant lookout towers for one another. And at dusk, they tacitly move toward the same direction, finally forming a loose yet mutually supportive circle as night falls. In this circle, the older giraffes voluntarily stand on the outer perimeter, leaving the safest and least windy center position for the young offspring. When calves, exhausted, have to truly lie down on the grass to sleep deeply, the adult giraffes stand around them like towering banners, guarding them wordlessly. They use their height and wakefulness to build an invisible, mobile safe haven for the next generation. In this silent vigil, there is no passionate verbal expression like in human society, yet there is a responsibility and affection that transcends language. Through the long nights, because of these slender figures looking out for each other, the desolate savanna becomes less frightening and helpless. The night has deepened to the utmost, and the wind on the savanna begins to turn gentle, softly brushing the tiny leaves of the acacia trees. The dazzling Milky Way, like a white veil, quietly spreads over the giraffe's head. Those stars seem so close to him, as if he could touch them just by raising his head. At this moment, he once again slowly bends his long neck, resting his head gently against his back, beginning another precious 2-minute dreamscape for tonight. In the introduction, we once marveled at his cruel destiny of sleeping only a few minutes a day, but now we understand that it is precisely this extreme restraint that achieves his unparalleled elegance and resilience. Although nature stripped away his right to sleep peacefully for long periods and deprived his throat of shouting out loud, it gave him the broadest horizon and the soul closest to the starry sky. What he leaves to this earth is never extortion and conquest, but a posture of gentle reconciliation with destiny. This story has reached its end, just like the giraffe's brief dream, falling softly into the night of the savanna. The world has quieted down completely, and those distant starlight will watch over you in his stead. You do not need to stay vigilant like him. There is no danger of the night here, only warmth and absolute safety. Set down all your thoughts peacefully, and just like that giraffe resting on his own back, let your soul slowly sink into the deepest, most tranquil dreamland under the brushing of the high sky breeze. Good night.